In this episode of Learning Without Limits, I want to start with a question. Have you ever wondered if the hours your students spend scrolling, tapping, or gaming are shaping their brains more than the lessons you carefully planned? I know it sounds provocative, but stick with me. We are navigating a generation growing up with screens as companions, teachers, and sometimes even playmates. The challenge is not just how much time they spend online, but how that time affects their ability to focus, empathize, and think critically. Let me share a story from a middle school I recently visited. In one classroom, a group of students was working on a digital storytelling project. They were completely engaged, laughing, debating, and problem-solving together. Next door, another class of students were completing the same assignment on tablets, but working silently and alone. The difference in energy, collaboration, and depth of thought was astonishing. It made me ask, are we teaching children or just giving them devices and hoping for engagement? Digital media is often painted as the villain in the narrative of childhood development, but it is not inherently harmful. The reality is nuanced. Social media can cultivate peer connection and emotional awareness when used thoughtfully. Video games can build problem-solving skills, strategic thinking, and even resilience. Online learning platforms can foster curiosity and self-directed learning, but only if they are structured and supported. The question is, how do we as educators harness these tools to empower children rather than inadvertently hinder their growth? I spoke with 3 experts who helped illuminate this landscape. Dr. Alicia Montgomery, a leading child development researcher, emphasized that the brain thrives on social interaction. She says, screen use that lacks meaningful social engagement does not stimulate the neural pathways needed for empathy, collaboration, and executive function. Samuel Lopez, an educational technology specialist, reminded me that tools themselves are neutral. The impact depends on how educators design the experience. Reflection and purposeful guidance are key. And school psychologist Reena Patel noted, digital behavior can be an early indicator of emotional or social challenges. Screens often act as mirrors, not causes, of stress. So what does this mean in practice? First, we must shift the conversation from quantity to quality. Instead of asking how many hours students spend on devices, we should observe what they are doing, who they are interacting with, and how they feel afterward. Reflection after online activities can make the difference between passive consumption and meaningful learning. Second, we need to integrate guided conversations in classrooms about digital experiences. Asking students questions like, what did you learn from this game? Or, how did this social interaction make you feel? Encourages critical thinking and emotional awareness. There are pitfalls to avoid. One common mistake is assuming that all screen time is equal or inherently damaging. Another is ignoring the emotional cues children display while engaging digitally. Irritability, withdrawal, or distraction may signal underlying issues. Finally, over-reliance on digital platforms without reflection can limit creativity, problem-solving, and interpersonal skills. By contrast, intentional integration of technology, thoughtful observation, and collaborative engagement turns these platforms into powerful learning tools. I want to leave you with a practical takeaway. Try this next week. Observe one digital activity your students engage in and follow it up with a guided discussion. Ask about their emotions, decision-making, and what they learned. You might be surprised by how much insight you gain, not just about the content, but about their social, emotional, and cognitive development. This small step can create a ripple effect of awareness and engagement across your classroom. Finally, I want to challenge the industry standard. We often chase the latest edtech trends without asking if they truly enhance development. Are we prioritizing engagement over growth? Are we teaching skills for tomorrow or just keeping screens busy? I invite you to reflect, experiment, and share your experiences with peers. This is how we evolve education, not by following trends blindly, but by observing, testing, and listening to the students themselves. Now it is your turn. What changes will you make in your classroom or school to ensure screens serve as a tool rather than a distraction? Leave a comment sharing your strategy to share this episode with colleagues and join the conversation about nurturing young minds in a digital age. Your insights can inspire educators and caregivers to rethink what meaningful engagement looks like. Let us start here, step into the conversation, and make a lasting impact together.